record show that we have a quorum of the board. I know it's kind of quick turnaround, but do you guys feel like you got time to review the minutes from the organizational meeting? And we can approve those?
So moved to accept the minutes.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Pass it. I do have to make a slight adjustment to the agenda because I forgot that the sheriff's department was going to be here. So we'll squeeze them in right now.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah,
Okay.
you look like you might have something else to do. We got a long thing here, so we'll get you in ahead of it. They wanted to come and talk to us today about the transition of dog control from the Department of Health to the Sheriff's Department. So we'll turn it over and let you have it.
Sure, sounds good, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Scott Patterson. I'm a sergeant at the Sheriff's Office. And just to piggyback off that, recently, as of January 1st, the Sheriff's Office has now taken over dog control services. They transferred from the Health Department, which was kind of a weird spot for that to be housed. It's something that's been in the works for a while. There's several reasons. The sheriff already put out a video press release on the matter, which you can access on YouTube if you are so interested. So I'm not going to go too far down the rabbit hole as to why the transition happened. But one of the big reasons was duplication of services. So the thought is you're paying county taxes to have one entity, which was the past dog control, which was run by civilians, go to some sort of canine complaint, and then a lot of those would rise to the level to where the sheriff's office had to get involved. So they were handling what they could handle, and then ended up calling us, and we were going anyway. So it just made sense financially and for several other reasons for us to take over services there. So more or less here to just reassure everyone that services are going to stay the same, and if anything, you'll just see an improvement with response times. I am supervising the operations down there. I have a full-time clerk and 2 full-time deputies now. That was approved by the County Board of Supervisors. So we have staff down there to handle these complaints around the clock. Before, if dog control staff was out of service, so outside their normal hours, they were getting called out from home, whereas we constantly have deputies on the road. So your response times for those complaints should greatly improve. There's a whole lot of other stuff, but it sounds like you guys have a busy agenda, so I won't take up too much of your time, but I'm open to any questions if anybody has any.
Where are you located?
Okay, so we're on Gypsy Lane in Mount Morris, which is where county highway complex is.
Okay.
It's pretty much right in the center of Livingston County.
First, I thought you said dawn patrol.
Dog control. No, we already do that. Okay. No, dog control. Sorry, yes. Yeah.
What kind of thing typically rises to the level of needing
Law enforcement. So anything with enforcement action attached to it. So we're statutorily authorized to take enforcement action, whether it's local ordinances where the town or village has a leash law, and someone is not abiding by that leash law, we can take enforcement action, meaning we can issue an appearance ticket, have the dog owner go to court. Obviously, we have discretion in that, so we understand their dogs, and they have a mind of their own sometimes, and they do get out. We recognize that, so I don't want you thinking that we're just going to drop the hammer on every single person that ever has had their dog loose. So it runs the gamut from, hey, the dog's not on a leash, to somebody that's physically abusing dogs, if that answers your question. Okay, so, and everything in between. Mm-hmm.
We have had lost dogs on the property before,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just called dog control.
Yes.
They take care of it.
Yes.
Do you want that as, because it's not an emergency, call to the regular sheriff's number rather than 911? How should we handle that?
So I will leave that to you. So whatever's easiest for you. If you're in the habit of calling dog control, those phone lines are still active, and they're going to be manned.
And I don't need to, but
Yeah,
but in the past, because we're on the main road and they drop off.
yeah. So that's fine. So whatever you're used to. If you're used to calling the dog control number, call that. I will suggest if it's outside the hours of 8 to 4, you can call 243-7100. Again, that's 243-7100, and that's our non-emergency line. And that way, if we're not there at the dog control facility, we can still dispatch a deputy out to help you out. No problem. Anybody else? That's an easy crowd, man.
Where would somebody find your number if obviously they're not there to get a hold of you, be it an emergency or not?
So they can always call the 911 if it's an emergency, or our non-emergency line is that 243-7100, and they can just ask for dog control. Again, if it's outside the normal hours of 8 to 4, we're just going to send a deputy as we normally would.
Anything else?
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to the supervisor's report. Obviously, you guys might notice we have this little video thing in the middle. We're trying to enhance using Zoom technology to make it more available to people. It's our first trial run, so looks like we have some folks on, so hopefully we get some feedback on whether it works or it doesn't work. We're not going to be on Facebook or anything like it. It's just a Zoom link that people can try. So I wanted to make that for the record. So anyway, good evening, everyone. I want to thank you all for being here. I don't have a lot, obviously, to update you on. I've been on the job literally for not even a week. So, but I want to thank you for coming out and taking time to be a part of this process. Obviously, it's my first meeting as the town supervisor. You know, and my focus is to listen, ask good questions, and make sure we're making thoughtful decisions for the town. We won't solve everything tonight, but we're committed to making things and doing things the right way, and keeping the residents informed. One of my priorities is to make sure that people feel heard. We may not always agree, but respectful public input helps us make better decisions. So in a few minutes, we're going to open the floor for public comments. When we do, I ask that the speakers state their name and address for the record, and keep the comments focused and respectful to the time limit so that everyone has time to speak. We did pass some guidelines. I made some copies. They're up on the music stand there in the organizational meeting, so if anyone didn't grab a copy, they're there. But it's pretty, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but if there's any questions, feel free to do that. Tonight we have a public hearing on the business overlay district on Plank Road. So we'll open that up. Sure. Yep.
Notice is hereby given pursuant to the provisions of the Code of the Town of Lima and pursuant to Town Law, Section 130 and 264, that a public hearing shall be held by the Town Board of the Town of Lima at the Town Hall located 7329 East Main Street, Lima, New York, 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, January 6, 2026, for the purpose of considering public opinion and comment about or concerning the proposed local law related to the following. The local law to amend and supersede as applicable the zoning map of the Town of Lima, Livingston County, New York, has officially adopted to create a general business overlay zone to add certain permitted uses and associated regulations relating to general business use for a limited portion of the town that is otherwise zoned as agricultural use district, and to modify certain provisions of the zoning ordinance of the Town of Lima to effectuate such overlay zone. A copy of the proposed local law is available for review by the public at the office of the town clerk during regular town clerk hours. All interested persons are invited to appear and be heard at the aforesaid time and place by order of the town board of the Town of Lima, Jennifer A. Hine, Lima Town Clerk.
So at this time, we'll open the hearing for comment. As long as it takes.
Yeah. We're open for a half hour.
Okay.
If there aren't any comments, we can just move through the agenda.
So we'll leave it open for a half hour if there's any comments on the business overlay district. Mark?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Kowalski. I live at 2632 Topical Road. My comments are written, takes about a few minutes to read them. I've already had a copy passed off to every one of you, so you've got it.
Yep.
I'm here to speak in favor of the petition by the Bryce Way for the property owners to establish a general business overlay district under 15A, encompassing the property formerly known as Deep Green Works. Attorney Campbell already prepared and submitted to you a complete recounting of this petition and the legal processes employed. I trust you have had ample time to review the materials. All legal and proper steps have been followed according to town law, and the petition is deemed to be complete and legal by Attorney Campbell. Subject to completing the public hearing and the secret process, the town board can adopt the local law. Attorney Campbell represents the interests of the town, and I find it compelling that he has exhausted the process to make sure the interests of the town are protected. His actions and process have been concurred with by the Williams County Planning Department. The Williams County Planning Board has already approved this referral by majority vote. Their review and staff report is thorough, the suggestions that have been addressed, and very importantly, it states how this referral is in compliance with the town's comprehensive plan. With regards to farming interests, despite the property being currently zoned agricultural use, nothing is lost in the farming community. The property has not been used for any agricultural use, nor is it in an agricultural district in decades, if not lifetimes. Nevertheless, the underlying zoning will not change with this overlay district and can still be used for residential and agricultural purposes in the future. As far as past use, JP Imports is a focus of this petition, although it is only one of the properties involved. Others are currently residential use, and one was severely damaged in a fire. Hopefully, this overlay district will help towards finding a use that gets that damaged property cleaned up. JP Imports lost its grandfather status, and it is only because of that inconvenience that we are considering this change in the law. Mr. Way has clearly expressed his desire to establish the automotive repair use, which will add jobs, improve the quality of the property, and add to our much needed tax base. With regards to the comprehensive plan. When the comprehensive plan was adopted, JP Imports existed. Other properties such as Easton were wrapped with a business district zoning designation, but not JP Imports. Why? I believe it was because of the mess that existed in a long history of attempts, including court appearances, to clean up that property. Not the fault of Mr. Way. John was not interested in endorsing the property in the condition it was in. They should have. They should have been as fair to this property as other commercial properties, but they weren't. If this property was as neat and tidy as the last words at the time of the comprehensive plan was adopted, Mr. Way would already be following his passion of fixing cars. Mr. Way has further shown good faith in following requests from the code enforcement officer. The property is the most clean and presentable it's ever done. It does not bother me in the least that there isn't a specific reference to 2419 Plant Road in the comprehensive plan. After rereading the comprehensive plan cover to cover, there are multiple statements, recommendations, and guidelines that do support this petition and proposed local law. I even brought a copy of the comprehensive plan with me. It was adopted in March 2008, and I have gone through and I have all the pages which have a positive reference to support this application. The rest of my comments are 14 specific references to text from the comprehensive plan supporting this petition. In the interest of time, I've already submitted these references to all of you for your consideration. Although if you want, I'd gladly read them all. Papers? Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Anyone else? We'll leave it open in case something comes up and somebody wants to speak. Looks like we have still 25 minutes, so we'll move through some of the other agenda items and we'll go back to it. So as far as the reports from the town officials, everyone got the report from the clerk? Yes. Code enforcement?
Yes.
And Karen submitted the historian report. Everyone had a chance to review that? I think it's on the website now.
You definitely keep thinking.
Yeah, actually, I had, when I was at the organizational meeting for the county, the county historian made a point to come over and tell me that Karen's one of the most active historians in the county. So she was very amazing. She got through all 52 weeks on the Facebook looking back for Lima, and I'm curious to see how many more weeks she can do with scrambles, right? But I think it's great. I think she did a great job with it. Did you have anything that you need to report on?
No, just the board's aware, I sent out all of the information on the overlay. I hope you've had an opportunity to look at it. If you have any questions now or at any point during the proceedings and the deliberation, please feel free to ask.
I think the only, there was a few words that were basically changed. It's not like you revamped the whole thing.
No,
Because there was some concerns the way it read initially. And then, obviously, entertainment was taken out of that also.
right, you're right, so there was a corrupted file when I sent over the public hearing notice, it had the right date but the wrong text in it. And so that caused a flaw in the public hearing notification. We've since republished that, and in all other respects, the only changes really were things like dates and moving everything to 2026 instead of 2025. That's all I have.
And then we'll move on to the boards and committee reports. Or no, sorry, Sean, I skipped you.
No, you're good. No, I mean, the most we got going on right now, it's just hauling snow and buying salt and fuel. But I am going through, I was talking to the county highway department. We have a form that needs to be filled out. It's like, gosh, title of it slipping my mind, but it's like to spend highway funds basically that you have to submit to the county. It's supposed to be due like next week. I was talking to them today, and they were saying that it was sent out at the wrong time, so it kind of postponed. But like I was talking to Steve today, I've been going through with the salesman that we deal with from Suitcoat and Midland, going through and talking over our plan for this coming up summer and road repairs to do, and you know, we're going to be doing a lot more oil and stone this summer just to keep up with roads that are still good, you know, but they only got a couple of years of life left in them. That, you know, we can't continue the large projects on 1 mile sections of road. It's not sustainable for town of Lima. Then any leftover funds that will be there will be to, you know, wedge roads, rebuild the shoulders for next year to be able to oil and stone those roads, and so on and so forth. So just a little bit of playing catch up to some of the roads that have gone bad and are going bad, but to keep up on our main ones that are still nearing the end of their life cycle, get sealed up and get ready for that.
Sean, what are you seeing with Jenks Road there with the hole sunken in that big culvert?
So we've been, I've continuously been monitoring it. It seems that, you know, it's kind of subsided, it's sinking. I'm not putting that in the afterthought or anything like that. It is, it's going to take some time to get the permits through DEC in order to go through and redo those pipes, like we talked about. So I don't really have it in like the forefront of our thought for this coming up summer. Like we said, like the pipes are pretty expensive to put in the new liners. So if we were able to put some money into that bridge fund, you know, this year and then next year, be able to purchase those pipes and things like that for those roads, or for that road. But yeah, it's not, I don't think it's gonna be this summer type of thing. I think it'll be more of like next spring, next summer of 2027.
And I do have feelers out on that. I talked to an industrial supply company that deals in extra piping. They're into everything. Place down in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And told him what our requirements are, and he's supposed to call me, and I'll keep checking with him if he gets anything with that diameter, that size, then
Okay.
that we could utilize for that.
That'd be great. Yeah, because I mean, I think, gosh, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think there were like $25,000 or $30,000 a piece for the two. But, you know, if we can find a cheaper solution that has anywhere near the lifespan of the aluminized pipes.
Right.
But I do think, you know, like we were saying before, the giant steel ones that were like, I think like $5,000 a piece, cheaper, just for the life expectancy of those pipes. I don't think it was really worth it, but I'm all for also finding another cheaper pipe, but something that'll still last.
Also wanna commend you and your men. We all put our heads together there, and if the people don't know, the town of Lima does have a salt storage now. Came together pretty quick. We were able to get it done for under $10,000, when we were talking hundreds of thousands possibly. And with other areas that we can look at going forward, we put our heads together, went out, started looking for materials, and you guys you got help from, I believe, Avon and our own village crew, and it came together like within 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
Great job. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Great looking shed too.
Yeah.
I think I can use one of my properties. Sign off on the code. Perfect.
And Sean, also per our conversation with the shed,
Yeah.
Sean had brought up the idea that a generator for the town shed, so that obviously they got electric doors that all go up, and during the power outage, during the bad storm, they gotta get trucked out or equipment to do work. They're dead in the water,
Yeah.
pretty much, if they don't have a generator, so that's something that we talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, and I met with the guys a couple of weeks ago, and they showed me the current process. I mean, there is a way to do it,
Yeah.
it's not safe.
It is definitely not fast.
To jump a wire from one box to the next box in the dark, I don't know if that's the best plan.
No,
So, I think we need to definitely look into that.
I don't think Charlie would like that very much.
We don't have to. But, yeah, and the only other thing that I know that we had talked about one other time, Sean, I think you're in agreement, we've seen the uptick of horse and buggies in town. We should probably look at getting some signs out, to warn people or make people aware.
Working on that also too, and hopefully I'm gonna have an answer here in the next day or two. If you go around Ontario and Yates County, there are big signs that said share the road,
Yeah,
and I'm supposed to be finding out where we can get those from.
Okay.
So,
I was gonna say,
Rolling it too.
yeah,
yeah.
I've purchased a couple of the horse and buggy signs, we've been just kind of waiting for the weather to give us a right time to go put them up. I'm pretty positive that they're only on Jenks Road, correct?
Door and Clay Street, 5 and 20 to a certain degree.
The old Gillette farm, there's a gentleman in there now.
Oh, that fell through.
It did?
That's what it's told.
Because I see a buggy in there yesterday, that's what I was wondering.
They have purchased property actually West Bluefield 5 and 20 also,
Okay.
but they're, that's, right.
Yeah, cause I'd see him traveling off of the Livonia Center and turning on the Jenks there to get up to the top of the hill. That's really the only time I've seen any horse and buggies.
They'll typically come down Clay Street or Doran, and then head east on 5 and 20.
Okay.
It's typically where I've seen.
I believe a family bought the Zebulon Moses, farm, which would be, across from. No, on Clay Street.
Next to Kenny's house.
Yeah.
Next to Pitt McDaniel's old place.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yep, that used to be, I believe there was a family purchased that at auction at the Livingston County tax auction.
Okay.
So there might be a family
So a
owner.
few more signs might be in order.
I believe that's as far as the boards and committees, I know the planning board, the zoning board of appeals didn't have any activity this last month, right? I was gonna come to the meeting, they didn't have one, so, I don't know, Steve, if you wanna go over the committees that you oversee?
Yeah, I can do it now. So So, fire department, we will be putting the new used pumper into service. I believe it's going to be this month, sometime. We're finishing up with some equipment for it and change over radios. The ambulance now is gonna be new one for me, and, I believe January 14th, correct? You told me that's the meeting I'll be attending, for the Lima ambulance. And give you an update at our next meeting for that. The Parks Commission, I got some stuff here. There will be, the 2 new gazebo roofs going on. We approved, when the weather breaks here sometime, it's gonna be paid through the Pumpkin Festival, $3,700 for 2 gazebo roofs. In fact, Ben and I are meeting tomorrow morning to see about the tear-off, and we're gonna work between this thaw and it's probably freeze up again where they can get in there and get the old wooden shingles off, and then I'll get with my guy in Penny Ann and we'll get the new ones on. The door is all completed. I got it stained, and it's going on tomorrow morning also on the Girl Scout, little box down there. That's been taken care of, and the door goes back on tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Just some other things we're gonna probably be talking about, there's been a lot of, talk lately, and in just my eyes, I'm not the whole committee, but, things that really are gonna be done. First of all, the, fishing dock will be done in the spring. That again is gonna be covered by the, festival. We are gonna come up with around $1,000 for that. We are looking at a wildflower area where you see all the big weeds between the parking lot and the dog park, cleaning that up and possibly putting that in, and we've looked into that. There is money through Soil and Water and New York State for wildflower seeds and stuff, if we go that direction. The other thing is going to be for safety reasons and handicap, looking at, what we can do, with our money in our budget, plus maybe some, what we can get through the state, our federal level, probably more on the state, is to widen the trails and update the trails through the park. What I've seen down there, yes, there's other things we need and we can do, but that park's going on, I believe it's this year or next year, 50 years old, and there's updates that have been left and not adhered to over the years, and I think we need to update that park and make a few improvements, and instead of worrying about doing a lot of other changes at the time. But things will all come. We just have to work on these as they come along. The other thing to look at down there, it has been brought to my attention by one of the original farmers and contractors that helped put that park together. Some of the areas have been let go, and there might be some brush and tree cleanup we're going to have to look at in the spring, because of drainage issues, that doesn't get in and clog up drain tile lines stuff. So that is going to be looked at this spring. Other than that, that's the CBA is not met yet for anything. Our first, if anybody would like to come and donate their time this year, our first pumpkin meeting is going to be here on February 5th at 7 o'clock. And we have the seed giveaway scheduled for May 2nd, be the first Saturday in May here at Town Hall, 1 to 4. So, I believe that's everything.
February 5th for the first meeting.
That is correct. 7 o'clock here, be a Thursday night at 7 o'clock. And that'll be to get going on our 4th year.
Thank you, sir. Tom?
Yeah. Yeah, so the only thing I guess I'd add to the parks is through a Lima resident, there's a donation that she's putting forth for a community center. New York State, through Kathy Hochul, they've got what they call the BRICS program. that, they, through 25, 26, I'm not sure if it's all been used up at $100 million to refurbish, community centers that are already in use, or building new community centers. I have tried getting a hold of, a phone number to get a hold of the Bricks people, to no avail. And so then I recently found a website that give me, a different phone number for actually KFE Hochul's office, Bricks, program. And also, I emailed KFE Hochul's office and give them all my information and told them what I was trying to get a hold of them for, so. I haven't heard anything there. I tried getting a hold of, Andrea Bailey, thank you. And, I haven't heard back from her office, and I actually was telling Steve about it. I don't know if maybe she's in Albany this week, maybe or something, but nobody's got back to me there. So with that being said, if, what the private donor here in Lima, is put forth, and, you know, we got $100 million, a lot of that money unfortunately looks like it's gone downstate, obviously. So, I don't know, I'm gonna keep trying and see what I come up with there. And then, as far as the highway department, so, pretty good there. The library, we met back on December 10th. We don't meet again until the 28th of this month. The ongoing problem there is, the insurance that was overlooked by the town. I don't know really whose fault it was, actually before Mike's administration even. It didn't get caught, and it went on from, I think, 18 to last year. And the library, is obviously under financial constraints, and to try to pay back $27,700, I brought this up back at the December meeting, and, everybody was pretty determined to just make them pay back that, spread out over 5 years. The library wants to, they've paid 24,
Yeah.
25,
We paid, Terry Crook, we paid 24.
you know,
We paid that in September of last year, and then we just received an invoice yesterday for 25 and 26, which totals roughly $9,600, which happily is about the amount, surprise, on the insurance line in this year's budget. So I think the library board is prepared, obviously, to sign off on that voucher, but we're hopeful, just given our constraints, and as we discussed last month, it's not as if a bill is sitting waiting to be paid. This week's money we were unaware needed to be paid. And so we're talking about probably it would be not 27, but maybe $24,000 that, would be viewed or was viewed as an arrearage that the library owed the town. We're hopeful that with the payment of 24 last year and this year, we can call the matter even Stephen and move on, and then John, you can, and the board here can decide how they want to handle the insurance allocations.
Thanks, Dick.
Yeah.
other than that, it's something we need to discuss.
I know that Jim and I discussed it a little bit yesterday, right?
Yep.
Was it yesterday, or the day before? We're just trying to figure out, how that money would flow and how we can account for that, even if we did try to get the entire amount back. And
It's tricky, right? So this came up, it was identified as an oversight by the town's bookkeeping consultant, and the bookkeeper told then Supervisor thought it really should just be kind of a simple transfer from one account to another in order to reconcile the books and make them correct. It doesn't really work that way because of the financial constraints that the library is of course facing, but what John and I talked about is, even if you make it right that way, you create an additional set of problems, which is you're collecting money for years that have been closed out from a financial standpoint as it relates to, the town's budgets, and all the financial reports have been done for all of those years. So taking care of it the way that was suggested by the bookkeeper takes care of one side of the equation, but creates some vulnerabilities on the other side. It's difficult for me legally to say that it should be just disregarded only because of the idea that they're taxpayer dollars, and there's some amount of responsibility there, but, given the circumstances, we're talking 7, 8 years ago on some portion of this. I think that there's a legitimate course of action that involves receiving payment for 24, 25, and 20, going forward appropriately in calling it a day. Is it a perfect solution from a legal standpoint? No. But sometimes what I have to do is I have to weigh perfection on one side and what problems do we create legally by fixing an issue from 7 or 8 years ago. So I guess at this point my recommendation would be to give some consideration to the request that the library has made. There is some financial strain. I will tell you that in doing so, your hand could be slapped. Likewise, if we fix it, your hand can be slapped. So there's no perfect answer here from a legal standpoint. If your hand does get slapped, you can blame me, you can be mad at me. Hopefully you remember that I told you that unfortunately there's not a perfect scenario here. But I think a practical solution is indeed probably to move past those many years ago problems. They were before the Mike Falk administration and before really any of you were here. And not really sure, because for many years it was paid. There was an invoice that was provided to the library, and it was paid. Well, both of these boards have turned over multiple times, and that's the danger, right? It gets lost and that becomes perpetuated. Now that we've figured it out, we have to correct it because it's the appropriate thing to do going forward. But I think probably the best bet is to give some consideration to calling it even Steven, as Terry suggested.
So Jim, when you use the word getting your hand slapped one way or the other, would that be the comptroller's office that would catch that? Or
So there's a couple of different ways, right? We're going to be embarking on some audits that we have undertaken and initiated ourselves for a couple of reasons. One, because there hasn't been an annual audit done.
Plus we have the Siemens.
Plus we have the Siemens and we have the water project, both of which need limited audit services completed. So it may result in some kind of comment note or deficiency from an audit standpoint there. When I talk about hand slap, it's if the comptroller comes in and decides to audit the town. If they see an irregularity like that, they may issue a formal statement.
Wondering where it is.
Right, and I think, from an accounting standpoint, Carrie, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, actually, and thanks. What I do want to speak to and make sure everybody understands is the dollars, there were dollars in the budget. And Debbie, correct me if I'm wrong. There were some dollars every year in the budget line for insurance, but nothing, no invoice came in. So what often happens, and we just finished the process as you have, get to the end of the year and you've got a little money you haven't spent, some of it just disappears. Some of it gets moved into a reserve fund, because you say, oh, we didn't spend that $1,000, we're gonna move it over usually into one of documented reserve funds, which we did do over the course of those years, putting it in, I think, often into the plant maintenance fund. So those dollars were not spent on a big party. They were actually put into a reserve fund, and as a result, we were able to pull out, I think it was either 23 or 37,000 out of the reserve fund. I think it was 27,000 out of the reserve fund this past year to pay for the new carpeting in the library. So it's not as if the money was frittered away or frivolously spent elsewhere. It was just reallocated and rolled over. So.
Yeah, that's an important component.
Yeah.
Where the comptroller might take exception is the failure of the process.
Yeah.
Right? They will often look at these things and say, as fiscal stewards of the taxpayer dollar, the town dropped the ball over a course of a number of years. And there's no undoing that at this point. There's no escaping that if it gets discovered by the comptroller.
No. In the reality is, who funds the library? It's the town.
Yeah,
So we're going to give them money that they're gonna just give back to us.
right.
If we are asking them for something like that. That doesn't seem to.
Right, and the bookkeeper thought, well, they had this money that was a part of their budget that was allocated towards insurance, and they didn't use it, so it should be a simple matter to just transfer it over to make things the way they should be, but yes.
Yeah, well, did you have something you wanted to add?
Well, yeah, everyone, one of the trustees for the library. My other comment to that is, although we did not pay the insurance, it went into a fund. As an example, technically, if you want to look at the technical viewpoint, the library building property belongs to the town of Rutgers. We had $1,000 bill this winter on the furnace, we paid for it. So we took the money out of that reserve. So actually, even though the town is not getting that insurance money, we are doing a lot of upkeep that really came from that money that we could have given the building board, and we don't. So it's kind of a trade-off there on a lot of these things.
Well, seeing as how the 26 budget is already in place, John and I were talking, maybe Chris is right. The town pays the library for the insurance, and then they turn around and pay it right back to the town. Maybe it'd be better to maybe take that out of the budget, and the town pay for the insurance, and you guys get your budget.
Yeah, I think the budget's set on, so,
Yeah.
and we've got the invoice and happily the money to pay it. And then I think as we look to the 27 budget, that may make sense, because it's just one less item that,
And it honestly
that
makes
the
Sherriff's
library
life
doesn't have.
more
to worry about.
complicated too, because then she's gotta invoice the library,
Right.
and, we pay, I was looking at the insurance bills yesterday, we have it broken out by the highway department, but we don't put money into that budget
Right.
for insurance, right?
Right.
So, it appears, like I said, I didn't have a lot of time to dig into it, but it appears that the library's insurance is different than every other building. And I think consistency is important,
Yeah.
but I know you had some comments
Yeah,
around that too.
and libraries are different, right? I mean, they have their own independent budgeting process. They have autonomy over the monies once they're allocated and provided in the town's budget to support. The use of those funds is completely within their control. So the library is not really like, for example, the highway department. It's not a direct instrumentality of the town. As an independent or semi-independent entity, it has these different powers that are supported by the New York State education law. However, from a practical standpoint, the funding comes from the town, which is very commonplace in small communities like this. So it's an imperfect organizational way of doing things, but it's a practical solution overall, right? If we ran the library strictly the way it should, They would have all their own employees, they would have to get their own workers' compensation insurance, they'd have to do their own payroll. They'd have to do things that would put them out of business, or, in the alternative, require an extraordinarily higher level of funding from your taxpayer dollars. So, it's tough in these small communities to meet the letter of the law in a perfect fashion and still have an active.
But as far as the insurance, wouldn't that just kind of clean it up a little better?
It might, yeah, we could talk about that, I think. I'd like to look at it a little bit closer, and, really it comes down to, I think, as long as it's all being provided through the town, the town's policy. If it's a separate policy for the library, then I think we ought to probably keep it as a separate line item. I know we don't like the money going back and forth, but it shows the distinct trail and intent of where those obligations are met. And they are obligations of the library, right? They're not obligations of the town. The town provides funding, and the library chooses how it uses those funds, including things like insurance. So we probably gotta look at that a little bit more.
Well,
I know,
It's very complicated, because the bulk of the insurance bill for the library is liability, which I suspect is associated with the building. And then, of course, there's the director's liability insurance, which are associated with that. So it's a tough one. The library board of trustees is hopeful and willing to come to a pragmatic solution and a good go forward.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where we are with it right now. It's not quite as simple as it may seem. Right? And the simple, obvious answer isn't as easy as I had hoped, right? I think we'll come into that a lot, but yeah, I think as far as the past bills right now, let's put those on hold. I think we can all agree with that, and we'll try to work to a solution collectively with the library board that works out and gets our hands slapped the lightest potential.
And we will go forward and pay the 25 and 26.
Perfect.
Bills, okay?
Thank you.
one thing I would bring up, and maybe it would probably fall more into old business, but line items on the budget, as far as like the ambulance is concerned, where monies were paid to the village for the ambulance, but it falls under salt and maintenance of the parks. A line item in there that will state ambulance funds to the village.
Yep.
That we address that some way, somehow.
Can we do that, Tim, going forward?
Yeah, we can, and we contract with the village to provide ambulance service. So what that contract looks like is an entirely different matter. But when that's finalized and it says that in order to provide service, the town has to pay the village X number of dollars,
Right.
we can set a budgetary line that specifically addresses that.
To make it
And it-
Identifiable, right? Yeah.
That's the whole,
It's actually, if you donate to their actual, charitable donation, then it keeps the village out of it. If the money does not go to them, they do not control what it's used for, and you can actually direct what you're using the funding for when you donate it.
Well, and that's certainly possible for anybody who wants to donate privately, but
but
the town,
government paying government's gotta be different, correct?
it is, and the town has a legal obligation to provide those services. The way we do it here in the town of Lima is contract with the village of Lima that owns the ambulance. So we have to go through those channels, but we can certainly make line items on the budget to make it clear.
so it's clear for us, and clear for the town.
I know what you're telling me, because we've looked at, I'll be writing my first check here in a couple of weeks to the ambulance today. I'm giving this year out of my paycheck. And I know, talking, I think, with Meg and everything, it's gotta be earmarked right on there, specifically for man hours.
Yeah, and what?
Or women hours, people hours.
One of the,
I'm done.
One of the things that Mark brought up in the last debate about it was the fact that people brought up that they don't have to spend the money in the exact way that you're donating. So I'm trying to figure out how
To
we
the-
can
To the nonprofit or to the
No,
contractor?
to the contracted village. That's going to the village. They
Correct.
can use it any way they want.
That's true.
And he's not wrong.
Yeah.
But ethically, I don't think we've had a problem with that, though.
No, no.
I can tell you that I had, because, obviously I've heard the same things.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with the mayor, and he's willing to have Alyssa open the books and show me right where the money goes from one to the other. I just haven't had time yet to sit down and do it. So, at some point, I'm hoping that, I can do that in the near future, and, we'll see.
Well,
I just wanna make sure.
We'll be able to address it in a joint meeting.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And then same thing goes for not just the fire and the ambulance, and also with the library, because I'll be honest, I sat there at multiple meetings over the year and asked $7,000 for transportation. Man, where are you guys going? Where are you holding your parties?
Nope, that was an incorrect thing by the.
I know.
Not a trust.
Actually, at one point, the line item was travel at 16 grand.
16 grand, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought, man,
We did not do that.
you're taking us on the road.
Right.
No wonder you don't pay for your insurance.
Aaron, we thought you put some money in the water budget to help with some of these problems.
Right.
That was Cancun, Steve.
Hey, good for you. You got away with it. We'll let it go now, too. Let's go from here on.
Right. Going forward. Adam, did you have, I know you've only had the committees for a little bit, but did you have anything you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, so, talk to the folks over at Be Well, they don't meet until tomorrow night, so I'll have more at the next meeting, but, they're in the process of trying to find somebody to take the lead on, the Eat Better pillar, a social media guru as well as the treasurer. Talked to Mike at the Ag Board, Mike Neenan, nothing specific regarding the Ag Board, but, he mentioned that he's also on the solar committee, and that we would need to find somebody from our board to help with that. And then Town Justice, I talked to Carol and Ron, they mentioned that the front walk, is the only, handicap accessible entrance. So if we could just find somebody, we talked, and, we have somebody to shovel that, so just make sure that that's a priority for them. And then, they gave me a breakdown, of things that they would like as far as safety upgrades go, if there's money left over from the Siemens project. One thing that they would like to do is get a magnetometer in there, but if we do that, then obviously you have to have somebody to run it. Ron recommended that we go through, somebody, or get somebody through the sheriff's department. It would be $40 an hour, and it would be 2 hours, and they hold court twice a month, so that accumulates to $160 a month. That would just be something that we talk about down the road, whether or not we wanna spend that money for that purpose. So yeah, that's all I have for those three.
So, isn't there, we are doing a different process over there now, or something has been added because of an incident last month? Did I understand they're changing something over to town court in that building already? It was said, due to an incident back in December.
Mark probably help us out there.
There was an incident, right, and then the court clerk asked us if we could do some security upgrades.
Right.
The court has a $30,000 grant available, and we made an application for that grant. But the result of that is pending, we haven't heard back from them. But if we get the money, we'd be able to get the magnetometer, we haven't just mentioned, and there's some other things that we applied for that could also be done. So we just have to wait to get the grant.
All right, thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Chris?
That could be well, they have the,
help you with that. There does need to be some upgrades and cleanup, especially in the main one behind Quickville.
Yeah.
And I've got Ken Samara's number, so if you could, I'll give it to you, to get with the Boy Scouts to see if we couldn't get in here this winter yet and clean a lot of the vines away from the fence. That'd be a great start before everything gets leafed out and stuff.
Excuse me, if I may interrupt you.
Yes.
We've gone 3 times a small civic group here, and that, there shouldn't be anything. I mean, we really went around that,
Is
the
it?
whole
All right.
perimeter.
Good.
We unearthed the whole, family of people that was involved in weeds and that, so.
What about the one up here?
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet.
Oh,
We started first there, and
All right, good.
we'd love to.
Right,
keep
because I
going.
know, even myself this spring when it
Yeah.
came, I trimmed the trees over there and everything, and that hadn't been done in years.
And we removed, that pine tree that was dead, that got removed, thank you to John from the town Supervisor Fire. So we did a lot of work, so I don't
Okay,
know
great.
how much really needs to be done, you'll certainly assess it though.
What about the dirt up there on the one up by Collin?
Never got taken care of, so that is something too, I can get with John. So, from last year, there was supposed to be a 10-wheeler loaded dirt brought in by the gentleman that, did the cleanup of trees and stuff, and that needs to be, that'd be a good spring project too. So,
I know you brought it up.
yeah. And then, Saturday?
Yep.
You're the liaison for that.
Saturday, I will not be able to make it, but yes, Erica and, the community is getting together to, discuss what
Connected.
projects we can do.
Community connecting group, yes.
Great.
Speaking of cemeteries, did we ever hear anything back for the one, the survey?
Still waiting for the survey.
Okay.
We do legally own it now, though.
Oh, yeah, we own,
Yeah,
we own the cemetery, it's the easement area, we're still waiting for a survey for the easement area.
Okay.
So I can get the easement signed, but they're away,
For which cemetery is that?
On Corby.
Cummins.
Thank
You know where it is? Take
you.
a
Yes,
left.
yes,
Take a left, it's on the right.
yeah, yes, I just think of that, too. Thank you.
Yes.
And then for myself, I've only been able to attend, one, meeting with the Crossroads Council last night. They're starting to plan, obviously. They do need more volunteers. So,
That, first Monday of every month.
yes, I believe that's, yep. But they're gonna work on, based on their notes last night, they're gonna work on a specific list, for what kind of roles that they need. So they'll be distributing that out. So if you're interested in helping out with the festival, watch for that. They have some specific needs, and then obviously they'll take as many hands as possible, right? But, yeah, and that's all I've got as far as, committees. Does anybody else want to speak on the public hearing before we close it? We're in a little over half hour. So consider it closed.
Yep.
Need a motion then, or?
You don't have to do it by motion, but it's probably a good idea for the record, so we'll show that it's closed, so.
I make a motion, we go ahead and close the overlay agenda and cast an unanimous vote to accept the gentleman and welcome him and his wife to our community.
We can't do
Can't
that
do
part.
that part, yeah. You just close the public hearing.
I'll close the hearing.
All those in favor?
Thanks a lot, Steve. You're pushing it as hard as you can, I feel it.
Do you want me to work through the secret stuff now?
Actually, I got that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, as far as old business, I took some time I met with Siemens today. I figured, or Monday, I'm sorry. I figured it's a good time as any to give an update, at least as far as last I knew, we spoke on Monday. So the lighting upgrade throughout the town is complete. The building upgrades as far as the heating, or the insulation, those kind of things are complete. The heat pump for here is substantially complete. There's only a handful of punch list items that they have to do. And they're gonna be getting the parts for that, and then they'll just come, there's like 5 things, they'll come do them all in one day. The EV charging installations over at the library, those are in. The only remaining thing there is setting up Siemens is gonna be giving, I think, the rates, comparative to the other areas, and then, setting up the point of sale part of that. So, there is an additional conduit run there for lighting also that comes out, so someone will be able to fish wire through there and do that. The only thing, Ron, that I'll bring up to your attention as a liaison is the 125 amp breaker that runs the ice melt and roof feeding. When they did the shutdown and restart, it tripped several times trying to get it to stay on. It's on now, and it's currently on, but they recommend that, maybe in the spring when it's not as needed, that somebody comes out there and looks at that. Then we'll get into the solar arrays, so those will go on the library roof, but it'll be a reduced size. I'll get into that next. But due to the reduction in size, they wanted to set clear expectations for everyone, the town, the library, and everyone involved, that solar array is probably really just gonna, at this point, eliminate the electric bill for the library. Because of the reduced size, there'll be little to nothing that feeds back into the grid. They'll be out to put those down in the spring. Now, the reason we had the reduction in size is the Siemens grant is dependent primarily on the ADA compliance in this building. So we have to complete, as the last understood, they're working with Siemens as taking the lead, working with the USDA because, well, one, they're not getting paid. so they have a vested interest in making sure that we achieve that. So in order to complete what we have to do to be with the ADA compliance part of the grant, rather than them coming back to us for asking for additional money, they thought the better decision was to reduce the size of the solar array and use that money to free up the grant funding. So we have a tentative drawing. Monica sent those over to me, and I think they have a walkthrough. They're trying to schedule a walkthrough with the contractor in the next week or so as far as bringing that upstairs library down to the main floor level. Looks like it's going to be relatively in the same space, just some addition some upgrade into that kind of walk-in closet area before it goes upstairs. But we have to walk through that yet and make sure that, one, the contractor can do it for the dollars that we have, because obviously that's important. Any questions on Siemens? And then for Water District 5, Jason and Eric are here. I'll let them update. They're going to know far more than I do.
Yeah, let me start with the news. So I wanted to pass out the schedule.
Hey, Eric, I was told, talking with Amy Bonwitz, I guess that's where maybe one of the proposed areas for a pumping station is. It was gonna, if it doesn't go there, it was gonna go by his house, the pumping station be located somewhere on his property, but then somewhere just south of his house, cut across Jordan Road and go to the east side.
Yes.
I guess my question is, why would it do that when all the houses, most of the houses are on the west side?
It's just, I gotta look back at the base mapping. I can't really answer that without having the plan in front of me.
Yeah.
But I'm more than willing to sit down with you and kind of go through what the design process was. But, so yes, on the pump station, that's kind of the ideal spot we've identified right now with the property owned by Andrew Bonwitz on Doran. It addresses all the needs with the humps and valleys, and if you drive down that road, a lot of the houses are up elevation wise from the roadway. What we're trying to maintain is at least 45 pounds of pressure to all the property owners and maintain fire protection. So that's right now what we've identified the ideal location. We had an initial meeting with him. He's open to the idea. We have to kind of address some of the site plan issues. He is asking, I know one of his questions was about natural gas supply. Could this project with the generator that we need, maybe get natural gas down that area? We're gonna have some discussions with the utility on that. So I think he's open to it. We just need to kind of button up the process with him. So, and whether or not it be an easement or an actual property acquisition. So I think that's where we're headed. We do have a fallback option that would entail going on Mr. Cacmus's property. That would require a parallel water main to the north a little bit to maintain that pressure. So there is another option in case we need to go that direction. So what I gave you right now is where we are in the project schedule. The yellow is basically this week. All the design plans have been submitted to the agencies. There's really only a couple agencies we haven't really addressed yet. One is SHPO, State Historic Preservation Office. Really can't be submitted to them until we get the test pits done out in the field in phase 1A and phase 1B surveys, and then the Ag and Markets actual submission. We're just waiting on some other things to get bumped out, but everything else has been submitted. The county health department did ask us to, and ask the state health department to really take a lead on the review of the plans. So those have been sent to the New York State Health Department. We have received comments back so far from New York State Department of Transportation and Livingston County Highway Department. So I think we're on target where we're looking at a mid or early May bidding timeline. So hopefully we continue with that process. So that's kind of where we are right now. I know plans have been submitted also to some fire department. They're also on the LC Wassa website. So if anybody wants to view the plans, they are on there as a link.
So we do have some 70% drawings here also.
Okay. Yep.
I'm sorry, what is the website? What is
The Livingston County Water Sewer Authority.
Waters, okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So that's really the update right now on the project. I know we passed along an estimate based on the current plan set, showing where our projection to be within budget. So we're happy with the progress to date. Like I said, now it's just a waiting game with the agencies. Once we get the majority of the comments back, then we can get an updated set of plans together. And for most of them, it's a simple iteration. Send it back, you'll get approval. And we kind of anticipate having most of the agencies. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of iterations back and forth. I would anticipate DEC and Department of Health probably the longest.
So you're anticipating about a year from start to completion, from what I see.
Yep.
August to August, approximately.
Yep.
Have you had much interest or of people hooking on to the transmission line on 5 and 20? Any?
I haven't heard anything. I don't know if you've had any calls, Jason.
We haven't even that too many yet. I suspect what'll end up happening is when things start to move along, we'll get more calls, and then we'll start the permitting process. So what we'll do is, as we get closer to probably the bidding time frame, we'll have public meetings we'll reach out to, impacted their customers or property that are in the improved area. We'll reach out to them. We'll actually have a pre-formed application that we'll send to them. So we have a water permit application already pre-filled. We'll have a public meeting with them. And then we'll, at that point, know who's interested in signing up, who's interested in moving forward with it, and we'll get all the correct information, because between now and then, properties change over, so on and so forth. We did this process with Groveland not too long ago. It was very successful, and it makes it a seamless process for the residents. They answer any questions. We have several staff there. We'll answer any questions they have about connecting, when they connect. Usually the biggest question is when can I connect? If the pipe isn't from us, can I connect right then? Usually the answer is we try to make it as close as we can, but we give them outlets so they understand what they have to do, what they have to do on their side of things, what we do on our side of things, and it's just a seamless process at that point. So we'll do that outreach probably once bids are awarded and, the construction process or the submittal is starting, and those proceeds start. We then send that out to everybody, and like I said, it'll be a pre-filled water permit application.
It's more like an open house, so it's not like a set presentation. It's, we'll have representatives there, and also lots of representatives, and people can ask whatever questions they want.
We do over a period of time, so you can come anytime between 4 and 7.
Well, I've had a couple people approach me like if the water line goes through by the front of their house, and it, it interferes with trees, shrubs, driveways, lawn, will that all be restored?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, and we usually work, so what will end up happening is we'll get into individual conversations with homeowners as to where do you want your curb stop. Some people do want to, on this north end of the property, south end of the property, so we have, depending on each property, sometimes we have a lot of flexibility as to where that can be located, so we can avoid certain things like that.
So other people, some people have, their well is in front of the house, so they don't need to go all the way to the house. Could they possibly undo the line off their pump and connect right at that point?
Yeah, so
That way they could save some money?
ideally though, in that case, the authority has kind of a minimum, so if it's if the house is 150 feet or greater, there's a meter pit at the roadway. So really, if the pipe's suitable, there's no reason. Now, obviously, if their pipe breaks, then they're gonna be paying for that loss of water through that
Right.
meter, but, so really it's on the homeowner then
But
to
if
decide.
it's inch and a half plastic line.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, we recommend if it's not something suitable, probably should make a change. Yeah.
And I'm sure during this whole process, are you going to have a list of contractors available? I mean, I've already know there's some people looking to do the project themselves, buying their own equipment or having a neighbor do it. They can do that.
Absolutely, yep.
But are you going to supply contractors, or is it going to be just by happen chance people come along and find a contractor to do the work for them?
I think we did provide a
We have
list.
a list of contractors that we have on file, obviously we don't recommend anybody, but we have a list of folks that's up to date. And generally, this works itself out, Steve, a lot of times you'll have people that'll get together on their own, they'll work together on the street.
Right, so I guess in that, can that list be here at town hall when that time comes?
It'll be really available during that meeting with the application process,
Great.
so.
Good.
And those contractors come out of the woodwork, as soon as,
Oh, I can imagine.
as soon as they start seeing water main go on the ground, they're knocking on doors, so.
The website is lcewsa.us. It's under what we're working on. There is an interactive map that we have with all of our capital projects. So this specific project has an interactive map. And right now, it's active to the extent that it identifies the water district, and then when you zero in and zoom in on it, it will identify the impacted parcels and parcel properties. What will end up happening, as you can see with some of the other projects on there, is that's updated weekly with the construction schedule. So when we know certain areas are going to be worked on, we'll be able to identify that on the interactive map. So anybody in the public at any point in time wants to see the progress of the project, where they live into relation to what we know the schedule. When it gets to that point, it will be updated weekly. We've got a lot of positive feedback from them.
Will the contractor also be notifying the residents along that area though, also? People that don't, just for some reason, have computer, there are gonna be a few out there.
Yep.
And, still, and, we don't want any surprises and, coming down here and yelling at the town board or Jim or anybody, and how come you didn't tell me I couldn't get in my driveway today?
No, yeah, so if there's cases like that, so our inspector typically handles all that stuff.
Okay.
So yes, if there's a driveway that we have to cross, but typically driveway crossings are very short duration. That's, within 10, 15 minutes that's addressed. So.
I'm sure there's a lot of consideration to that.
Yep.
So,
But yes, if there's a road crossing, they have to do it to more extended duration, we'll make sure that the school's notified, 911's notified, highway department's notified, so there'll be some of that stuff as well.
and also, that time of year, these guys are gonna be into harvest, I think the farmers should be updated also, besides the residents.
Yep.
That are affected.
But we won't know the exact schedule until the contractor really provides
Till it
that.
gets bid and the start date.
But we want to make sure that schedule is published too and kept up to date. So.
Great.
Yep.
Inspectors' information is also handed out in cards, or we have documents that we have on hand of those meetings, so that people have the inspectors' information to ask questions, call them whenever they want to ask questions, and we can follow up like a customer service issue.
So houses on the opposite side of the road, do they dig the road or do they bore it?
The bore it, yep.
And then if somebody were to do it on their own, obviously they got to dig below frost, but do they encapsulate it and sand the line?
It's recommended, yes.
We have one question.
So, digging below frost, you're down, what, 3-4 feet? 4 feet?
4 feet.
Yeah, our water main's typically 5 foot to the top of the pipe.
So on the east side of Dorn Road on south end where we are, there's a phone line through there. I don't know how deep it is, but typically you would go under the phone line.
Yeah, they'll be chasing a lot of stuff. It's just typical. I mean, the phone lines are there. Typically, the record drawings aren't great. So typically the contractors will end up chasing that stuff for a while. But yeah, it'll be under it.
Don't worry, they'll just get it and get going.
Phone and water.
I would guess.
I think it should be noted that anyone that's thinking about doing it themselves should call Big Safe in New York before you start.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Is that website that you mentioned, is that up now?
It is, it's open right now.
What is the website?
It's our website is lcwsa.us, and you go to the tab that is what we're working on, and then you'll see multiple projects. Now, the plans are also on that, under that tab as well, so if you wanna see the plans, you can see them there.
I haven't been there.
And then, other than just the map itself with the area of the district outline, you can zero in on the parcels and it has parcel information. And then if you wanna see the other two capital projects going on, you'll see how it's updated. But that'll be more active when the project's underway.
So when the line goes down the road, do you guys leave an open area for the homeowner to connect there? Will it be an open pit they can run their line into? Or
No. So the contractor, depending on the contractor, some contractors install the water main first, then they come back and do the actual service taps. Some will do it as they dig the main. So some will install the main, do the service tap, and they'll put a whip on the ground surface, but they'll backfill everything. So ultimately, it's kind of what we saw. Hey, if the homeowner has their pipe out, we'll ask them to make sure they leave whip on the ground surface, and then when the contractor goes by, they can simply make the connection. That's ideal, but if the homeowner's not out there yet, then yes, the homeowner's contractor would have to excavate and get below frost.
There would be coordination with our office, because we've inspected before it's inspected.
I think we have one question.
So the main is still coming up Poplar Hill Road, or did I hear something about Dorn?
It's on Dorn too.
You got two mains coming in from Hemlock?
No. So supplies up Poplar Hill, then it's being fed back down Dorn.
Oh, okay, because it's gotta go uphill.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
I've been studying the ag district maps, and even though there's a possibility that people on 5 and 20 connect to this transmission main, most of those properties are ag districts. And I believe that the town has to adopt have a restriction policy that says that you can't connect to somebody that has a population. So we may not get as many customers on 5 and 20 as what you suggested.
You can't connect if it's a vacant parcel. So if it's a parcel that has a house already, they can be connected. If it's a vacant parcel, and someone wants to build a house, that's where the difference comes in.
So you're saying if there's a property that's in ag district, and it has a building on it?
Yep.
That they could connect?
Absolutely.
Land restriction policy would not affect that?
Correct.
And they will be charged the 600, whatever.
Yep, they'll be charged whatever their unit calculation is. Right. Yep.
What if they wait 10 years before they decide to connect?
They're still charged the debt service.
The previous 10 years worth?
They're charged that every year. So based on the unit table in the map plan report.
No.
He's asking about a start date, when they do start.
Oh, if someone chooses, no, that really starts when they connect. Yeah. It's just like if someone builds a new house too, right? If someone builds a new house in the district, they don't pay the back debt payments. They pay from that point going forward.
So even to cover that, Mark, so let's say things are gonna change in this town forever, hopefully for 1,000,000 years from now. But the next people, what I'm going with this, the next people come in, you have 50 acres. You die, you leave, you sell it, whatever. The next people, 15, 20 years from now, if they want to build a barn for horses or cattle or anything, they will start paying from that time on and hook to it.
Yep.
They're not going to pay the 20 years previous to that or whatever, correct?
Correct.
Right.
Can somebody hook to it if they just have like a barn, like some kind of a pole barn with horses and they want to water?
That'll be a question we gotta, if it's in an ag district, we have to address that. If it's not an ag district, then yes, we could provide them with a tap, but now they'd be responsible for units. We just gotta make sure they're aware that they get a tap, it's a unit, it's not that half a unit or tenth of a unit in the report, so it'd be a
So,
full unit at that
like a
point.
dairy farm would not be allowed to pump?
Dairy farms can,
They can?
yep, yep.
So,
Not that there's any dairy farms in Lima except for mine.
so Eric, are you gonna provide a list of all existing and district properties that have existing buildings that are eligible for water?
Yeah, we'll provide a list of all parcels. I mean, that information can be found on the county.
I think you should document it as part of the engineering process, so that the town has a record in the future to know which properties had an existing building on them at the time this was all, put forward.
Like I said, we can do that, but the records are already available at the county level too. So you can access any property in the town or county and determine when things were built, when things were constructed. So they're really all already available.
The town wouldn't be the permitting agency for if someone came for a water tap. So they make an application to us, we then either grant you the tap or we don't.
Anything else?
I do have one other thing to bring up that might be a little controversial, but I think it's important for this town to consider. I'm gonna be a little selfish. I'm one of the people in the water district that they're gonna be spending my money to build this water main, and I really wanna get what I wanna get out of this whole process. One of the things, and both Jason and Eric both know this, we don't need the pump station. We're gonna be spending $800,000 for a pump station that we don't need. There's a better way to provide service in the water district without building a pump station. I can spend the next hour explaining the reasons why a pump station is a bad idea. Cost, power, long-term operations maintenance, tons of reasons. What if the pumps fail, the people down Doran Road lose their water? If we lose electricity, then we have to have backup power, we're paying for that too. Now you have to bring gas to the site, maybe propane, whatever. There's all kinds of costs that we're throwing at this pump station that we don't need. So, there is an alternative, and both Eric and Jason know the alternative. So I think that when we bid the job, we should bid the alternative. Because that way we'll have a case right at the beginning, at the bid phase, whether it's feasibly cost-wise or not, instead of waiting and going down the road, building half the pump station, finding out that we don't need it.
So my recommendation, you don't need to design and bid this transmission main. So the option is, versus doing a pump station, installing a transmission main from Poplar all the way over to Doran. It's absolutely an option. That was discussed when we talked about forming the district, but in reality, most of the properties on that road weren't in favor of water, so this was an option. There is always the option of, once bids are open, it's going to be based on unit prices. It's a simple calculation to figure out what that would cost to construct based on the bid prices. So simple 2-hour evaluation, we could be able to tell the town, here's what, based on the contractor's pricing, here's what that would be. We could deduct the price of the pump station, put that money towards, it all depends on availability of funding too. So depending on what the bid results come in at. So if the bid results come in very favorable, then this is an option. If they come in higher than budget, then the pump station's probably the right option. But I would recommend not spending the money on designing and getting that permitted. We can do that a quick evaluation after the project's bid. We're doing that right now in the town of Groveland. There was a section of Main on Logan Road that they were debating about. Originally, the property owners weren't in favor. So basically what we're doing right now, Thursday morning, we're going to do a change order with that contractor to get that piece of the project back in because they have some available funds left. And it's just based on the unit prices in their bid form. So I would recommend to wait until the bids. Don't spend the money on the design and permitting. Wait until that time.
Mark, thank you for bringing that up, and then that brings up another point. So, we say we don't need it, you don't go down that road. So what is that gonna change the unit price then, debt service to the homeowner?
So nothing. So we cannot change, the unit price can't change, and the overall capital cost cannot change. So we can't go higher than what we told people in either of those numbers. Remember, with this funding, you're spending the grant money last. Right? So really, your debt payment's set. It's the grant money at the end of the project that you're spending.
Well,
I guess I'm confused. In lieu of a pump station, the pump station is needed, right, to pump down Dorn Road? No.
So operationally, I would agree 100%. We could avoid a pump station if we ideal, because there are always feed through gravity versus through pumping. However, the way the district was formed, the way the district was created, that was not a consideration at that point in time. So you're moving forward, what Eric's recommending is you're moving forward with the design that was approved, and that you have the ability to assess the alternative, which would be, what's the crossroad? James, going down James. Which means you wouldn't necessarily connect at 5 and 20 in Dorn. In fact, there's some other savings other than the pump station. There's a huge directional drill that has to happen. That you would also work with that big dip down that road at 5 and 20, you wouldn't have to go up there. So I think that is, ideally, that would be, from an operational perspective, we do not like extra pump stations. It's not what we want. But the way the district was formed, the process was developed, that was the design that was proposed at the time, because you weren't putting a transmission main through there. So you kind of have to follow that process through. I agree 100%. If there's the alternative to do that once things come in, then that's a good conversation to have, and we would endorse that. I think Eric would as well.
And that's why we brought it up when we had our tour.
When we went for the drive-through a few weeks ago, we totally 100% agreed with it. But the process that you have to follow is right now the process you're locked into. If the district was formed differently, then I wouldn't have been part of the conversation. It would have been set up, but that wasn't the way it was done.
So coming across Jameson and across Chase to Dorn Road that way?
Yep.
Then would your team go both ways?
Yes. Yep.
Hydraulically,
Can you deadhead?
yeah, you're gonna do that no matter what, but, hydraulically, you're gonna be fed right out of our tank versus having to come off the village tank and then pumping it. It's a much better alternative hydraulically, it's a much better alternative operationally.
You're gonna be where the bits come in.
I mean, it's definitely the right, operationally the way you want to go with it. Unfortunately, it's just not the way the project was created.
You got the dip in 5 and 20, and then you got the dip, of course, on Dorn Road.
Yep.
If we can avoid that, we'd love it.
Well, it's definitely an option to consider.
I apologize for kind of throwing that at the board, because most of you are new and have not even any idea of all the details that have gone into this process. But we're so close to this point where we're gonna get plans permitted, we're gonna go out for bid. Now's the time to think about these kind of things, so that if we can find a better system out of this process, absolutely we should. The last thing I wanna see is the pump station failing and all the people on Dorn Road who are dying for water, not have water.
Right.
That would be
Well, it's one of the worst areas.
it is. So, it sounds to me like Jason and Eric are both supporting the idea.
Oh, absolutely.
Provided, costs and other things come into play. It's not gonna affect the district. The district stays the same that people are paying for it as they're paying for it now. The agreements with the village don't change. We're still gonna build transmission mains to replace things in the village. We're still gonna give them cheaper water and all the benefits that the water authority is gonna provide to them. So nothing changes except we have a better, more reliable system. Thank you for.
Well, I'm sorry.
But we also have insurance, that if bids come in high, you can now switch money from the cost of the pump house to make up whatever, if there is an overage.
It's good to have alternatives. I mean, you have an alternative, another option, you need to one route, one alignment, so.
So it's better to have a cheaper alternative than to.
We want the most cost-effective alternative for the town.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's very rose.
Regardless of what it is.
My money.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Literally this time.
And I think the big picture is, if we save money, we'll have extra grant money to use maybe towards more improvements in the water district, if I'm saying that correctly. So we get to the end, our debt service is the same, but the grant money that's unused potentially would be available to apply to another robustness of the water district.
Yeah, some additional loops we've talked about.
Some additional loops, so
in some areas.
there's, with no added increase.
And that water would stay within the district, Water District 5 then? It doesn't go back to Livingston County Water per se,
No.
A slush fund, it would stick with Water District 5.
It's not our money, so.
Whatever.
Whatever.
We're paying for it, so.
whatever grant funding remaining, the funding agency wants to make sure that benefits the district. So there has to be an argument that it benefits the district. So that's why, like, when we talk about looping, like we're doing in Groveland, we're looping Logan Road. You know, they question them initially, but we say, hey, it's a benefit because we're looping, we're eliminating 2 dead ends, providing better water quality for the district. They approved it. Town of Stafford, years ago, we couldn't loop. However, we justified that the roadway, because of the old construction of the roadway, the equipment damaged it, and we were allowed to pave like 5 miles of roadway.
Are you sure that the intersection of Doran Road and 5 and 20 is not a benefit to the water district?
Yeah.
And you got time to get creative. And we've identified certain areas already, you know, these are areas on, you know, if we have additional funding, these are areas that we could improve or that would add value to the district, whether it's several looping and those things. So, I mean, sure, we did the drive-through, spoke with Ben from the village, you know, there's interconnections there. We've identified areas in this district that, you know, if we get to that situation, we have a few in the queue that we would evaluate and say, what's the biggest benefit about it.
So what you'll see, once the bids are open, you'll see an updated, what we call a Form E budget report. That'll show the original budget, and then where it is as bid, and at the bottom, it'll show what the updated contingency is. And that's when we start having those discussions, right? Hey, here's the numbers, there's $2 million left over, and they absolutely mark, let's have that discussion about shifting gears on that piece of the project. But also start thinking about, you know, what do you want to spend the money?
So the rules would be the same for Jenks Road and Chase, they wouldn't be charged because it's transmission?
That would just be transmission main, correct?
And are there more potential customers on Jenks and Chase?
Potentially, I would think so. I think there would be people who would be interested. Yeah. I mean, we got to revisit. We'd have to revisit a few things. Revisit the environmental review. So SEQRA would have to be updated because that was not part of the original SEQRA process. So there's some other steps that we taken care of. But
you guys accidentally take out the bridge on Jenks Road.
Yeah, I think
accidentally.
You know. Oh, dang, we're recording.
We have been able to replace culverts in the past.
Tunnel, if we can follow it, it could be a big tunnel, all right, we get stuff.
I know. Anything else for the water district? All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Good night.
Any new business for the board?
I'll wait till board comments at the end.
All right. Ross, anything? Adam? Jim, could you handle the review of the seeker?
Sure. Okay, so before the board can deliberate and possibly take action on the local law related to the overlay district, we have to go through SEQRA. There are 3 parts to SEQRA. Part 1 has already been completed, which is really just information about the project. And the project in this instance is the proposed local law itself. There's no shovels going in the ground. Ordinarily, when we're talking about SEQRA, which is the State Environmental Quality Review Act, we're talking about reviewing a proposed action as it relates to what kind of environmental impacts may result, right? This is a paper action, so it's not really likely that there's going to be a whole lot in the way of environmental impacts likely, but we still have to do it. So part 2 is where you all get to participate heavily, and I'm going to walk you through this. Part 2 is a series of 18 questions, and they're general questions. And for each of those questions, there's 2 possible answers, yes or no. No is that there's no likelihood of environmental impact. We move on to the next big question. If you answer yes, there's a series of sub-questions that we have to go through. Okay? Again, no shovel, no physical disturbance. We're talking about an administrative action, so it's not really likely, but these answers have to be yours, not mine. So when I read them out, please answer verbally so that the record can reflect it and the people on screen and in the audience can hear your answers. Any questions before I start?
Go on ahead.
Number one, impact on land. The proposed action may involve construction on or physical alteration of the land surface of the proposed site.
No.
Number two, impact on geological features. The proposed action may result in the modification of, destruction of, or inhibit access to any unique or unusual landforms on the site, cliffs, dunes, minerals.
No.
Number three, impacts on surface water. The proposed action may affect one or more wetlands or other surface water bodies.
No.
Number four, impact on groundwater. The proposed action may result in new or additional uses of groundwater or may have a potential to introduce contaminants to groundwater or an aquifer.
No.
Number five, impact on flooding. The proposed action may result in development on land subject to flooding.
No.
Number six, impacts on air. The proposed action may include a state-regulated air emission source.
No.
Number seven, impact on plants and animals. The proposed action may result in the loss of flora or fauna.
No.
Number eight, impacts on agricultural resources. The proposed action may impact agricultural resources.
No.
Number nine, impact on aesthetic resources. The land use of the proposed action are obviously different from or in sharp contrast to current land use patterns between the proposed project and a scenic or aesthetic resource.
No.
Number 10, impact on historic and archaeological resources. The proposed action may occur in or adjacent to a historic or archaeological resource. Number 11, impact on open space and recreation. The proposed action may result in the loss of recreational opportunities or reduction of open space resource as designated in any adopted municipal open space plan.
No.
Number 12, impact on critical environmental areas. The proposed action may be located within or adjacent to a critical environmental area.
No.
Number 13, impact on transportation. The proposed action may result in a change to existing transportation systems.
No.
Number 14, impact on energy. The proposed action may cause an increase in use of any form of energy. Number 15, impact on noise, odor, and light. The proposed action may result in an increase in noise, odors, or outdoor lighting.
No.
Number 16, impact on human health. The proposed action may have an impact on human health from exposure to new or existing sources of contamination. Number 17, consistency with community plans. The proposed action is not consistent with adopted land use plans. Number 18, consistency with community character. The proposed project is inconsistent with the existing community character. So I've marked each of those for you. I have provided you with a resolution that is a SEQRA resolution. I don't know, do you want me to read this aloud for everybody? Basically, what this resolution does is recognize that you answered those 18 questions on part 2, adopt them as your official findings for part 2. And then as a result of that, you're going to make a final determination under SEQRA. So the fact that you've answered no to all those questions, you're saying you don't believe that the proposed action of adopting this local law would result in any negative environmental consequences. When you come to that conclusion, the formal way to signify that is by issuing what's called a negative declaration. So this resolution says you're issuing a negative declaration under SEQRA, and that will essentially complete the SEQRA process. It also signifies that you are allowing the supervisor to sign the documents on behalf of the town. They will be submitted, they'll be kept in the file, but they'll also be submitted to the environmental notice bulletin, which is an online service that the DEC operates. Any questions about that resolution? If not, you would need a motion, second, and roll call vote to adopt that resolution, which will dispose of this time.
Now I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept that resolution for the negative declaration on the property so noted. Aye.
Okay. Laura, you good?
Yep.
Okay. So tomorrow I will provide the secret documents to be signed.
Okay.
So now that SEQRA has been disposed of, you are in a position to deliberate and determine whether you want to move forward with adoption of the local law, either as it exists now with changes, or to take an election at all.
So does everyone feel like you've had time to review the documents that Jim sent out and prepared to make a decision on this? Yes.
So this will be local law number 1 of the year 2026. So you would need a motion second and then vote on the adoption of local law number 1 of 2026.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
You were driving like a runaway truck. Appreciate that. Right down on the field. I'll drag you right over.
Yeah, just Mr. Wade will,
Just for clarification, now that we've done this, now you get to go back to the zoning. board.
Yeah, I was gonna say, now they should be able to.
Now you can go through that whole
they have the
process.
basis on which to move forward.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm the first local law.
First one.
Jim, how much longer will it take to take them to HCB up and running?
A lot of it's on my end now, I think, right?
Yeah, it's, I think there's a site plan component and a special use permit component. Really, it's gonna be about lighting, hours of operation, ingress and egress, signage, those kinds of things.
How quick can your wife get all the work done up there for you, so you can get up and going?
I think it's probably, once he gets on the agenda, probably a month or two.
Great. Good, sweet. Nice spring you should be going here. Fingers crossed.
The process.
Yeah.
We're gonna get gentlemen just like that back in line.
This is the only one that lived for 70 years there, man. You know what I mean? It's just.
Learning curve for sure, I'm sure. I don't think we have any other resolutions for tonight. Abstracts?
I do have one question. Is there any way to get, out of everything we signed, put it here, there was no hourly rate from the elevator company. Obviously, I understand service calls, that's pretty common, but it just said labor, and there was no breakdown of their labor. That's all I was wondering, if we know how much we're paying them for any future calls or anything else, what to expect.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because it was something I wanted to just make you guys aware of in the new business section, and I missed it. So, as you guys may have noticed, the elevator is currently not functioning. For that, we have an estimate here that they're asking me to accept for light trays, and that's what's stopping, I guess, the sensors, from what I understand. It sees somebody there, and that's why it doesn't close. Just so you guys are aware, those are $750, and the labor is $250 for 2 hours to put those in. So it's basically $1,250 to get that thing back up and running. So yeah, I do the labor hours. It's $250 an hour.
Okay.
The only thing, I just got this today. The only thing I want to reach out to them and see if there's any kind of manufacturer warranty on the elevator itself, because it's worth asking the question.
It's not that old.
Right. Right. So I figured it's worth the question. We do not have another option is you can sign a larger maintenance agreement with the company. What that costs you versus what you get out of it. In my luck, as soon as we'd sign that kind of an agreement for a couple $1,000 a year, it would never break.
Is that a Downey, or what manufacturer is it, you know?
I don't know. I was gonna look at it for a meeting and have
A lot
it
of
time.
Downeys in the area.
But yeah, Access Elevator is the company that
Right.
put it in, so yeah, just so that's gonna be the first question, is there any kind of manufacturer warranty on it? If there isn't, we don't really have much choice, but it's obviously $1,250 and hope you have to spend want to do that.
Take money out of the Siemens project.
that's gonna be pretty tight.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be pretty tight.
Should've just bought the JCC building.
So.
That's a fight for another day.
So we have to, I don't have the abstract, so I don't have the number, or you're gonna have to, we'll have to just clean up the notes, I think.
Where is it? Oh, okay. Yeah, Chris has got it there. Sign note. Oh, that's it, right.
Mr. Supervisor?
Yes.
While you guys are signing papers, I just wanted to make a comment to the board. I just wanted to welcome the new town board members to the town. The job is thankless. It takes a lot of time. Good luck. Glad you're doing it.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Bill. I do have some institutional history. I'm happy to take questions if things come up. I think Adam's taking over my email account, and I try to leave things in a way that, again, would be background information that would be helpful to you.
I've seen some of that, I appreciate that.
Yeah, so, just welcome and thanks for your service.
And I think, you know, Mark and Bill are both here, I think, you know, as a town, we can thank them for their service on the board as well.
For sure.
The 5 and 20 there that you were looking into, where did that end up? Did you hear anything back on that?
I mean, as far as getting a hold of the DOT.
Yeah.
We need to recontact the safety council. Poke them here a little bit.
One of the things we missed in the library is Kenny had sent us an email to accept Lima to a full 5-year term.
Right.
Sorry.
Right.
Sorry.
I got, I did a FOIL request from DOC.
Oh, you did?
And I got, they just sent me 3 reports from the last 10 years. So I'll try to get those printed out once they're,
Okay. Very good.
So if we get a motion, I'll make a motion to appoint the button
I'll
to the
second.
library board. To a full 5-year term. All those in
That
favor?
is right.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, that's.
Thanks. Thanks, Dave.
I,
Sorry about that. It's a good thing I wrote my notes and gave them the Then we'll open it up to any other town comments to the board as we go through the paperwork if anybody wants.
The Lima Community Connecting Group will meet on Saturday at 10 o'clock at the Lima Diner.
Yep.
Everybody's welcome. We're trying to bring residents together to always continue to celebrate and enhance their community.
Thanks. Any public comments? Go ahead.
My name is Randy Z, and I'm doing Ward 1848. And my question is for Sean in regards to snow fence. Now, I know Ron has a lot of snow fence on his road on Bragg.
Yeah.
Down at the corner, not quite at the corner, but at where Toby Road comes into Bragg, and it comes back going south, there's kind of a big
Oh, yeah.
circle, that always gets
On my
snow
snow
drifts.
Yeah,
I don't know the name of that people there,
yeah,
but that always gets drifts, and the other day it was really bad, it was like 3/4 of the way across the road.
yeah.
Is there a way to get a snow fence in there?
So there is, we ran into, like, running out of snow fence, we put it all up. I bought more rolls, transitioning into, like, the plastic rolls away from the wood. That we were getting to the point where the wood, it comes in like a 50-yard section, and, wood's pretty expensive, but I mean, like, all of our wood hasn't been replaced in forever, so we lost probably like half of what we owned in the wood.
Right, but that's
Trust me.
never been plowed, or not.
It's
Snow fence.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I wanted to put snow fence up there this fall. I know it's a terrible spot.
Is it possible to even get the town, the little truck or whatever, to go up there a little bit more frequently, especially on windy days? We had those big winds, that was not just there, but the little ways up farther too. I mean, it's bad, it's like
Yeah,
half or 3/4 of.
Yeah, I know, it is tough, I mean, our guys, even this past month, I mean, they put in like almost 50 hours overtime in this last 2 weeks. I mean, that's one of the things that, you know, I eventually wanted to, you know, talk to the board about too, is like, even like, once we get a, you know, have a full crew of guys, that, you know, we used to set aside money for, hiring out for, like mowing cemeteries and stuff like that. I know we didn't set any money aside in the budget this year for it, but, you know, for the amount of money that we spend in overtime on the guys and things like that, you can make, it can be feasible in the money aspect of things to have a, what a lot of towns call them is not like a controller, but like a dispatcher, where like in the off hours and things like that, especially on like windy days like that, where their job is literally just like, we know where all the problem areas are, drifts around town, and like that being their basically sole responsibility is just like kind of go around and hit drifts, and like that is like on weekends and things like that, instead of going out and paying, you know, not trying to take work away from the highway guys, and they know that. I've talked to them about it and things like that prior to this conversation we're having right now. But, you know, like I said prior, the dudes put in over 2 weeks and put in each 50 hours worth of overtime, trying to keep up.
You guys are doing a fantastic job, I want to say that. Not down that many people, but just that little area there is a big concern, because it's like.
It is.
It covers the road quick.
Yeah, and even like further down Dorn, you know, down by Chase, almost, you know, there's multiple sections on Poplar Hill. We weren't able to put in snow fence on the corner of, Dalton and Heath Markham, and that intersection this year is just like completely blown in all the time. I mean, especially, you know, the days where we had the 60-mile-an-hour winds, there's nothing you can do to keep up with that. You know, then unfortunately, you know, it does come on to the people, and when, like weather advisories and things like that, they're not putting those out for no reason. It's also a thing for people that are out on the roads to also, like, maintain safe driving and things like that. But no, I do hear your concern.
I'm just curious if we have any extra snow fencing. Like I said, I've never seen snow fence. You there? Ronnie, in regards to that area there?
When Keith was putting up fence, he put fence there. But I mean, these guys put up a lot of fence, like moving around, and seen all the fence.
Would you say a third more this year, maybe, compared to other years? A third more?
Oh, I mean, especially on the state roads. I mean, we put up, like, gosh, I can't remember, it was almost like 6,000 feet of snow fence on 15A alone. And
Not just for safety reasons, that does result back into a payday for the
for
town,
sure,
for us.
for sure, it does. And, you know, hopefully with some of that money that we made from the state this year, we're able to add in the more snow fence. And also, like I was talking to Ben about it, like, the deputy there are like sections of that curve right there where you'll see that it starts to drift up, you know, prior to other, and it's like where there's like those small bushels of weeds and things like that, where, I'm hoping, you know, Thursday or someday this week, hopefully maybe tomorrow, if this snow is actually melted, and we can actually kind of get on that side of the ditch and mow that down. So it'll help with that. But also just the curvature of that road and that corner doesn't help anything.
It's kind of where we talked about a boom mower.
Yeah.
Reach over the opposite side of the ditch and knock down bushes and
Yeah.
weeds and act as a snow fence.
Right.
Blow it out of there.
Careful, you're treading on me.
I was gonna grab the paper and just go right in it. Well, Sean, the one idea you had, I like it, to have like somebody that would maybe come in and actually spell you guys.
Yeah.
To clean roads. But I wonder
The
how
only
they
thing we'll have to be
work
careful
with.
there is the
I know.
language of the Teamsters agreement.
Well, and you wanna know, I really don't know even the legality of, you know, us even talking about any of it, but, you know, I've talked to the guys about it, they are flexible with this whole thing. You know, if it's gonna help the town, also, like, it's grueling, spending that amount of time in a truck, you know, and even just the fact of like, okay, we know it's not snowing, but we have 25, 35 mile an hour gusts almost all winter long.
Yeah.
You know, and just having that on an individual's conscience every day when they leave to go home, every weekend.
You don't even get a good sleep.
No, because you're honestly just waiting for that. You know, I've been in that position. You're just waiting on that phone call to come in at 3:30 in the morning. Okay, come on in. Like, we gotta go hit drifts. It didn't snow, but we gotta go hit drifts. You know, you have a guy that, you know, comes in at 8 p.m. or something like that and goes through the night and just like, okay, like, hits drifts and then like calls like, you know, if snow comes, like, okay. Obviously, one guy can't keep up with the town. That's when he's like, okay, gonna need the guys to come in the morning. Like, I'm not keeping up. But that's mainly just for like windy situations and things like that.
Well, with the guys, I'm sure they like overtime, but there does come a point where they just say, I need a break.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, it definitely that's the most grueling part of working for the town. It's, you know, spending, man, over the past 2 weeks, somewhere in 130 hours, and, you know, 90 or so of those hours are spent in that truck, you know.
Comes down to liability.
Yeah, 100%, for sure.
Hey, Sean, if you do need an extra driver, I'd be happy to donate my time. I might take out a few mailboxes.
I've heard he's really good at fixing them though.
Well, honestly, like, you know, the way that I had that truck built, that was coming next year, having it built as a non-CDL truck was also like a very, you know, forward-thinking, looking idea of like, this is a truck that any person in this room can legally drive and effectively like push back those snow drifts and things like that.
Hope the power's not out, you can't get in.
Yeah, well, I mean, we do need a generator, that is a fact, but.
But did we address the cell phone?
Yes.
Sean, are there towns around that have a surplus in snow fence that we might be able to bum off a few hundred extra feet
I
on?
mean, especially now that we're into the new budget, like, it's not a giant deal. But like coming to the end of last year's budget and things like that, things are tight, you're not knowing exactly per dollar where everything's gonna fall. Especially, you know, we had problems with our trucks even the last couple weeks there. We haven't gotten a bill yet for it, but we're gonna have like a $4,000 bill for, number 17. It's just things like that are, you know, you kinda can't, you know, reach out and, yeah.
Any other comments?
Yeah. I got one.
Go ahead.
Regarding the snow, the problem there is that consistently pop up every year. Is there any way to work with the farmers, put in a row of vegetation, pine trees or something, that won't impact their agricultural?
So, the thing, I've talked,
Natural barrier.
yeah, I've talked to Ron about this before, and, you know, there are places up north that do it. The thing about having like an effective snow fence is like, you see driving around town, you don't have snow fence right along the roadside. Because the only way you're gonna have an effective snow fence is a little bit off the road, like we put them like 30 yards off the road.
150 feet is recommended.
Yeah, and you're gonna be getting into, like, there's no way that you're not gonna, you know, take up farmers' land, and, you know, they're constantly taking out hedgerows, trying to expand their property, they're not gonna.
I will say, growing up in northwest Iowa, they leave, some of the farm roads on the state road, they'll pay them to leave 3 or 4 rows of corn. To
Yeah,
effectively do.
We did it over in West Bloomfield, but what happens over time, the corn kind of falls down and throughout the winter it becomes less effective.
And you got deer, now you get 150 feet from the road. Hey, it's not perfect, but it's not pine tree.
Yeah. It's tough, like, there's some solutions, you know, every solution has its positives and its negatives. And I mean, just how much is one 3-year-old spruce cost? That's, you know, probably $300.
He's got programs we can for nothing.
Well, you certainly look into it.
Yeah.
The problem is to ask people that are paying taxes on their livelihood now and trying to make money off it to give up the land. I see right now the partnership with them allowing us on there in the fall to put up snow fence, the better alternative at this time.
I'm talking areas that's not impacted by agriculture and.
Okay, that,
Like the curve up there,
Yeah.
you're talking about.
all right.
It's not bad, it's not doing anything.
Go ahead.
Jenny Baker, I live on West Main Street. I just want to thank you for such an informative meeting and just being able to hear everybody's voice and have things explained to us. It's just been great. Thank you so much.
Yes, I agree, thank you.
We down
Need a motion to accept the abstract as presented?
make a motion?
Second.
Approved.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any other public comments? Scott, you don't have anything?
No, I'm all set.
Anything from the board?
Yeah, a few things to consider. We did talk about looking to update the schedule for road repairs. You're on top of that. I would like the board to look at these and give these to Sean again. I feel we need to look back at righting the wrong and getting the proper equipment for the highway department for mowing. Just some options to look at. Anything decent and a used mowing tractor. Been in this business for almost 40 years of my life, and these were just a couple samples. You're going to be looking anywhere from the mid-30s up to 60 for a good used one. And we already looked into the new aspect I think we're on 175-ish. 180 for something new, so again, if we can crawl before we run again here, we did it with the salt shed, this is something to consider going forward. I think we need to look at. The other thing I would like to see you address this year, I'm going to think of my friend up on Cleary Ferry, but I know this has been passed up before and deemed not important, but I think we need to work with some landowners. Guy and Kathy Smith are one of them, with a major drainage problem over here off of Michigan. If you could get with them at some time. There's been comments about up on Garden Street, on our side of Garden Street, obviously, the Lima side, about some trees and stuff up in there, and I'll get you Jim Aaron's phone number. And then, of course, Cleary Road, I think that needs to be revisited again, because there is a water problem going down to the creek, down that hill on Cleary Road, that there's 2 residents at least, that it creates a big problem every time we get anywhere from a quick inch or more, and that needs to be looked into.
Is that still an issue today?
Well, did you go out and address it then?
Yeah, Cleary,
South side of the road.
Yeah, just on the other side of the bridge.
Yes.
Yeah, if you go down there, this summer, we redug the whole ditch going down.
All right, and that was taken care of.
And then we put in a bunch of like ballast rock to slow the water down coming down.
Great, that's what we suggested, and you did do it. Great. Good luck. Ron brought up about a generator that we should look to get into our plans for the town highway. I'd also like you to see, and I'm sure you have, but with this tractor and other stuff, if you could kind of, for the future, because we hope to have you for about 50 years, not just 5 years, but could you maybe start looking at a 5-year plan, 5 years out, what the most important...
For equipment?
Yes.
Yeah.
If we could get that and work with you on that, I'd like to see that be done.
Sean, do you guys use any sort of like maintenance software on your equipment?
We don't, I mean, other than just your day-to-day plug and play for like computer readings and stuff like that.
That might be something we want to look into. Like when I was a dispatcher for HFL, we had software that would track the maintenance on the buses. So.
Oh, okay, like tracking maintenance. I mean, we keep our books and everything like that.
So you have data and analytics that then you could say, hey, this is the sweet spot to trade this vehicle in before it starts costing us a fortune.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. We don't have that. I thought you were talking about just like maintenance scheduling and things like that.
No, this actually, so you could run a report off of it.
And then you get the most bang for your buck on your reselling equipment. Yep.
So that might be something we want to look into sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
Purchasing, and I mean, then you have to have your guys trained on how to, utilize it, but something we could at least chat about.
Yeah, I'm in 100%.
Okay, cool.
And then I'd like to again compliment the library. Back on December 20th, they invited me down to spend some time with them, and Mr. Baker here, Eric was a major contributor there, and I have never seen, that is the most kids in about 4 or 5 years I've seen attend that program, so congratulations on that.
It had everything to do with Santa.
Great Santa. Congratulations actually goes to the Friends.
What's that?
I say the congratulations should go to the Friends group, rather than the library director and the Friends group. I'm coordinated that, and I think did an excellent job.
Great job done by all.
Yeah,
Thank you.
they did.
Yep. And kind of to what Mrs. Baker said, I want to congratulate Jonathan on his first meeting. I think it was put together very well, and I hope this squashes any elementary school scuttlebutt going around town about his commitment to this board and this town. And this board is 100% behind you, and we are all here for the people of Lima. So thank you for everything tonight.
I have it. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right.